Hey guys, Craig Beggins here, broker for C21 Beggins Enterprises, around 31 years now. And I want to address a question that is coming up from a lot of buyers' minds saying, we're going to wait for a foreclosure crisis and start buying houses cheaper. And I'm here to tell you, you're going to be waiting a long time, right? Most of our markets have seen double appreciation in the last couple of years, which means most homeowners have a ton of equity. Now, I'm not saying foreclosures aren't going to happen. Well, I am saying foreclosures aren't going to happen, but it's not going to be like it used to be. Here's why foreclosures may happen. There are three things going on in Florida right now that have the potential to drastically increase your mortgage payment on your property, right? Let's take an example of a house that was built 20 years ago and the people still live in it, and it was built for $500,000. So it was assessed somewhere around $500,000. So its taxes were somewhere around $10,000 a year. Every year in Florida, your property gets reassessed for your tax basis, and it goes up or down depending on the market. So take a $500,000 house in the year 2000, it goes up. But in Florida, you have your appreciation rate can only go up 3% a year if you have what's called homestead exemption. So a $500,000 house, let's say it's assessed at $450,000. 3% of 450 is $14,500. That would be the most your house could go up. But a 5% normal appreciation rate is, well, $25,000. So theoretically, your house went up 25 grand, but your assessed value can't go up more than $14,500. That's a nice benefit for a homeowner. Well, it works both ways because the market crashed in 2008, and this homeowner, in 2008, their assessed value dropped from 450 to 380. Because the market fell. So now their tax basis fell. So when they start climbing again, it's now 380. I should use round numbers for this. Let's say it's 400, 3% max cap. That's a $12,000 appreciation, but the house went up in value to 600 now because the market's coming back. But it's still capped at that $12,000 rate. So boom, 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 time goes on. Here it is 2023. That $500,000 house was assessed at $450,000. Now it's assessed at $400,000. Now it's growing over years at a 3% increase. Now it's assessed at $650,000, and the taxes are somewhere around $10,000 a year. What a deal! So a lot of times the loan officer you're working with will use the taxes to forecast what your mortgage payment is going to be, and it's fine for them to do that because they're trying to get you qualified. But what you need to know is every year, on the 1st of January, every property gets reassessed. So this $500,000 house now sold for $1.5 million. So when the property appraiser's office sees the $1.5 million sale, they reassess the property at, let's say, $1.2 million. Millage rate around 20%. So the new tax bill is $24,000. So your loan officer budgeted a $10,000 tax bill, which is what, a little over $800 a month for your PITI portion of your payment. Well, when you get the new assessment and it's $24,000, that's now $2,000 a month that has to be added in. So the real danger becomes if your loan officer did that to get you qualified and then the new bill comes out, you have to do two things. You got to recoup the payment for this year, and then you got to add to the escrow for the next year. So it becomes a super big burden on a buyer to reestablish their escrow account. And if you don't do it, they put you in default. They put you in default, they have the right to foreclose. The problem is, and this is where I said foreclosures aren't going to happen, you've got so much equity in the house that, and the house's values are still going up, so a foreclosure is not likely. We can sell the house, but you've destroyed your credit. So that's one reason where people are going to go into default, maybe not foreclosure, but they'll go into default. And you don't want that to happen. So it's very important you talk to your loan officer, and it's very easy. Go to your property appraiser's website. Most of them have a tax calculator. And tell the loan officer to budget for the future tax amount on your new purchase price versus the old owner's tax amount. Okay, that's a very important lesson. If you need more help, talk to your agent about that. Second thing is there's a crisis going on in Florida on two fronts with insurance. Number one is hazard insurance. Simply put, there's been a lot of insurance fraud in Florida, and a lot of insurance carriers have pulled out of the market. And it's just like anything else. Supply and demand rules the world. When you got a bunch of supply of insurance carriers, they compete for your business, right? And when the carriers volume or number of carriers goes down, they can flex their muscles and do it. My personal insurance doubled this year, and we got some tips and tricks we can work on with that. You get wind mitigation reports and I actually doubled my, what do you call it, the deductible. So I got my rate down a little bit, so it's not double, and I went up like 45%, but still it's a lot of money, right? So when that insurance payment is built into your PITI mortgage payment, now you got a hit on your taxes, you got an increase on your insurance too. A lot of people, if you qualified for a $2,500 payment, you add another $2,500 in other fees, now you got a $5,000 payment, and if you can't make it, you're going to default again. Once again, we probably have enough equity in the house to sell it, so you're not going to be foreclosed on, but you're going to be kicked out of your house and your credit's going to be destroyed. So good luck finding another house to buy or rent. Third problem is flood insurance. If you're in the coastal areas in a flood zone, they changed the rules. And the rules are now not based on how high you're built, but how close you are to water, right? Because it makes sense. Think about it. If I'm on the water and here's a street and there's a house over here, if my house floods, this guy's going to flood too. It's not just going to stop on my side of the street, it's going to go. So proximity to water is raising the rates. And so what they've done is they've changed that rating system, which is going to affect a whole bunch of houses. And they've come up with a new actuarial rate based on your proximity to water. So my personal home, I'm paying $1,100 a year right now for flood insurance. My actuarial rate's going to be $10,000 a year. That's a whopper. There's another $1,000 hit. So now my insurance is going up, my property tax is going up, and my flood insurance is going up. That's a challenge, right? Now there's solutions. Solution number one is if you're built at the appropriate flood level, there are other carriers that will insure you. Third-party carriers, we call them. And third-party carriers are a lot less expensive because there's competition. FEMA's like the one, and they're backed by the federal government. So the risk is you go to a third-party carrier, they're not as solvent as the federal government. Debt ceiling and all that stuff, who knows about that? But that works. Now, the problem is, if you're built below the current required floodplain, the third-party carriers are more expensive than FEMA. So they're not an option for you. All you have to do is deal with FEMA. And FEMA is going to take you up to your actuarial rate based on how close you are to water, but they're going to limit you to an 18% increase per year. So it's death by 1,000 cuts. So those are three things that as a buyer beware, that you need to know about. And as a real estate broker, I don't want to surprise you and tell you this later on. Hey, I knew this, but I didn't tell you. You need to know this. And if you need help with it, please check with one of our agents and we'll get you the answers that you need. And we've got lots of insurance brokers and property tax analysts that can help you figure that stuff out. So not to scare you, I want you to be aware because it makes a difference in the home that you choose. All right. Thank you much.